Hi, my name's Robbie Swale. I'm a coach based in London, and I just wanted to share a little bit about how I manage the final session of a coaching engagement. If you haven't already, there's another video on my YouTube page about why I work with clients over a period of time, not a number of sessions. But I think this works. Some of the stuff here, some of the ideas, pretty much all of it works however you work with clients. And take what you want from it. It's all borrowed from other coaches. It's one of the most interesting things about working with other coaches as a client is seeing what they do, hearing and understanding how they manage different parts of their coaching engagement. And one example of that is the ending. So I was once on the receiving end of a brilliant final session from a coach, Joel Monk, and at that point started thinking quite differently about how I managed my final sessions. But this is picked up from all sorts of different people who I've learnt from and been coached by over the past few years. So the first thing I would say about the final session is signposting. There's contracting around it. Now probably I would always recommend that there's a fixed length of time, and I would do time rather than sessions, agreed at the start. But some other coaches work in different ways, and so that's fine as well. But at some point, most coaching engagements will come to an end. And I always signpost this. If it's happening and we know it's happening, next time's going to be our last session. I'll say it in person if I can. If not, I'll say it in an email. And what I like to do as part of that session is save at least 20 minutes at the end to reflect on the engagement. We can do some other work if there's important stuff that's come up, but I don't want to save the time for that. And then I'll follow that up in an email before their final session. And I'll ask people to review the notes that usually often I've shared with them. I take some notes during my coaching and ask them to review those notes from the work we've done, and also look back at the vision we set at the start, and also usually give them some questions. And I've got a growing list of questions that I sometimes ask at this point, and I basically choose them for a client based on instinct. They include, what did you gain from the work together? What have you learned from the work we've done together? What insights are you taking away? And sometimes I also ask, what are the biggest results you've seen? And I'm not very good at asking that because I get a bit worried that there won't be any. But the truth is there always are tangible results. And it can be a really powerful thing to challenge someone to think of those. And sometimes I also ask a forward-looking question, like, what's your biggest dream for the next 6 months or the next 12 months? And some of these questions are borrowed straight from Rich Litvin. And then at the start of the final session, I'll signpost all that stuff again. I'll say, look, we're going to do the 20 minutes at least at the end. There might be something more important to look at first. And if there is, we'll get into that. Sometimes there isn't, or the client doesn't bring something, in which case I'll often or always try and go back to the vision that we set at the start. First session or two of an engagement with the client when I work with them is usually creating a vision for what do they want to create? What would be the extraordinary things for them to create over the next 6 or 12 months? And now's the time to go back to it, and to revisit it, and to get them to reflect on it. And this is a part of the first important thing I think about the final session, which is reminding a client just how far they've come. And not everyone is like this, but with my clients, because of who I am and the way that I work, they're often people who don't remember the things they've done, don't celebrate their successes all that well. But for anyone, I think it's really important, if they've made this investment in themselves in terms of time and money and energy in changing or creating something, it's really important to show them, look, this is what you've done. And the vision isn't always done, it's not always complete, but in that usually there's some insights too. So I normally take them through the vision, just ask them, well, read this part of the vision, or I'll read it to them, and I'll say, well, what's coming up as I share this? This is where you were 6 or 12 months ago. What's it like to hear that back now? It's useful to collect those insights and make a note of them. And I usually try, when creating the vision, also to ask, what will it be like if you do all this? What will it feel like? What will it look like? And I love to reflect that back at this stage as well. You know, you can say, well, you said if you did all this stuff, it would be awesome. You would be a totally different person. What's it like to have done all this stuff? Get them into that moment, remembering what it was like. Now, as I've said, I'm always learning from the coaches I work with about how they manage this stuff. I just finished working with Rich Litvin, and he plays this little bit out in a slightly different way. He asks the client to take themselves back. You know, what was it like to be you 6 months ago? What was it like to be you 12 months ago? What was going on? What were the challenges? And it's a great way to play as well. The next part, which of the final session is that I usually say, well, look, I've got, thanks for going through the vision. I've got some things that I've been through our notes and picked out, or things that I've thought as I sat and reflected on our work together and on you. And then I'll share that. And those are usually a mixture of things. It's the most memorable moments from the work we've done, or the insights that feel like they've been most key. I might pick out some themes, like a lot of our important work has been around certainty. And I'll give some tangible examples of that, about where in their life and in the work we did that showed up. And I'll always try and reflect back how I see that person. I'll reflect back and thank them for maybe the courage they've shown, or the vulnerability they've shown, or really the ways that I admire them and the ways that they inspire me. And I really like to do that. It's a beautiful gift to give. That's another way of showing people, because not everyone is good, even reading through it, noticing the things they've created, even if there's detailed notes or they've kept a diary or whatever. It's different to hear it back from somebody else. And wherever possible, and I do this with any notes that I send to clients, I'm always trying to capture it in their language. And I'll again, if I have that stuff where it's things that they've said, I'll be trying to reflect it back in their language. And I'll also be trying to speak from the heart. This is all true. It's very important that stuff is genuine, because people don't often get told that. And after 6 months of working with someone, you know them pretty well, and you've seen them in a way that lots of people don't. And to reflect that back to them, which, I feel like is often with my clients the most real, the most them they ever are is in coaching. And so to be able to reflect some of that back can be very powerful for them. And then after that, I'll invite them. Well, I'll ask them what they noticed, what it was like as I reflected the things that I reflected back to them. And I'll ask for what came up for them at that point, what they noticed. And then I'll ask them some of the questions that I might have sent them in advance. Sometimes I ask all of them, and sometimes I don't, and there's not really a pattern to that. It's just however much time we've got on whatever's going on, whatever comes up for me. Sometimes I'll ask all of them, and sometimes I'll just choose one, whatever feels right in the moment, and I'll ask it. And then I'll quite often say, so if maybe I chose, what are the insights the biggest insights that you've taken from our work together? And when they answer one, I'll say, and what else? And what else? And what else? And I learned the neuroscience behind that recently, that powerful coaching tool of just saying what else, or asking the same question over and over again. And it's that, let me get this right, it's that the first few times that you get asked that kind of question, you're asked to come up with an idea, you come up with the common ideas. It's like the neuroscience, it's like the paths most traveled, the neural pathways most used. But then as you keep getting asked it, you force new neural pathways. And that's when the unexpected things come out. And that's true. I've seen that be true of insights or the things that people have gained from the work that we've done. Keep asking, and things keep coming if you've got time. And then I really like to try and take the client, if I can, into what next for them. Maybe that's a question from Rich of what's your biggest dream for the next 12 months or the next 6 months? Sometimes, often with my clients, part of our work will have been to create a vision for what's coming next. And I'll bring that into the final call. And then as that's tied up, maybe there's some actions they're going to take, maybe it's not, maybe it's just this nice place that we are, I'll thank them again for the work they've done. And then I'll tie the last piece up, what feels to me the last important piece of the engagement, which is, and I'll say it like this, and I borrowed this from either Phil or Vegard, who I trained with. We've been through a little bit what's next for you. We've got your vision for the next 12 months. You've talked about what are the actions you're going to take as a result of this session. There's a couple of things that I'd like to ask of you, which that's what's next for me. So that's, I'd be really, really honoured if you would write a little bit about the work we've done together. You sometimes use that kind of thing as a testimonial. Sometimes it just goes on in a little Word document or a collection of emails that I've got. It'd be really valuable if you wouldn't mind doing that. But no pressure, because that's not always the right thing to do. And the second is, I'd love to send you a little email about the kind of people that I'm looking to be connected to at the moment, and just to see if there's anyone that you want to refer to me. And usually the offer from me is to gift them a powerful coaching conversation, like the one that we did when we first met. And what I find is that great clients, and then if they have been a really great client, I'll try and say this, and I feel like you've been a great client who I've done some of my best work with. Often those people are the best people at knowing who I can do great work with and who can benefit from working with me. So trust your instincts there. And there's some things I can learn there. I got some feedback recently. I need to be clearer on that. I need to make a really clear call to action in who I'm asking to be connected to. But I'd like to put that into the mind because that's something that means a lot to me. It's how my business works. And however you say that, I would say the most important thing is to say it would be really valuable to me if you could make some referrals when it feels like the right thing to do. And then the last piece is what's next for us. We've done what's next for them, done what's next for me. Now it's what's next for us. And, well, I speak from the heart here. Look, it's been a real pleasure to work with you. It's been a privilege to go on this journey with you. And I'm so grateful that you've been able to go on this journey with me. And if it comes a point in the future, it might be soon. Some clients, want to start working together straight away, or in a month, or in 2 months, or it might not be for a long period. But if in the future you come to a point where you feel like we could do some powerful work together again, then let's talk. Because I've really enjoyed this. It's been powerful and fulfilling for me. And, you can't promise. Maybe I say that sometimes, but I have a feeling that if we do some more work together, we can do that again. And then I close the call. And usually we say some goodbyes, and we see what happens. And my feeling is that there is real power in creating a good ending for people, an ending that reflects who you are as a coach and a person. Because often in life we don't get those good endings, and to me, it means a lot to create the kind of ending that I would want to receive. And I think that in itself can be a powerful thing for people. So look, steal away from what I've shared here today. If you've got any ideas about great ways to end coaching engagements, great things to ask, great ways to play, I'd love to hear them. And yeah, keep changing the world.